Welcome back to Sissy Maya. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to never miss an update. Additionally, consider subscribing to my Patreon to get access to these features, and much more. Harold Morgan had it all figured out. Despite his non-aggressive demeanor, the consulting firm he inherited from his uncle had flourished. He now managed 10 regular clients and had promising prospects with 3 additional companies. These new prospects had already given him positive feedback from previous projects. Over the past 15 months, he'd successfully added 2 steady clients to his roster. One day, he summoned Elena, his secretary, to take a dictation. As she entered the room, he couldn't help but appreciate her impressive physique. He often found himself thinking about her when he was alone at home. Elena took the dictation and left afterward. Harold knew little about Elena beyond her tendency to be assertive with the other staff. He didn't mind as long as it didn't disrupt the office's efficiency. That evening, while browsing online, Harold came across a message board about household management. He realized he could use some help with maintaining his home. Inspired, he posted an ad seeking someone to supervise his house cleaning efforts, signing it as Harold. Unbeknownst to him, Elena was also online at the same site. Recognizing Harold's email address, she decided to have some fun and reached out to him. She was surprised he used his real name. Harold responded, explaining he needed someone to remind him to clean specific areas of his house, as he only had evenings free. He admitted he hadn't cleaned in 2 weeks and thought a reminder would help. Elena requested details about his house, number of rooms, etc. Harold quickly provided the information. Elena then instructed him to ensure he had a digital camera capable of taking and uploading pictures, including one with a timer feature. Harold confirmed he had such a camera. Elena directed him to clean his living room, take before and after photos, and email them to her. She insisted on the pictures as proof of his progress. Due to the late hour, Harold said he would complete the task the following evening. Elena agreed and signed off as Mistress Cat. The next night, Harold followed her instructions, sending the before and after photos of his cleaned living room to Mistress Cat. She replied, praising his efforts and suggesting he wear feminine underwear while cleaning. She believed it would enhance his motivation. Harold replied, stating he felt this was unnecessary. Elena's response was clear: if he wasn't willing to follow her instructions, he should find another supervisor. She insisted that if he wanted her to continue, he needed to purchase 6 pairs of the most feminine panties he could find and send her photos of himself wearing them. She would then continue to guide his cleaning efforts. After considering it, Harold decided that wearing the panties would be private, so he went to the store and bought 6 pairs of the laciest ones he could find. At home, he took photos of himself wearing each pair and sent them to Mistress Cat. Mistress Cat replied, instructing him to take before and after photos of his bedroom. She also suggested purchasing 5 or 6 long-line black bras, preferably front hook styles, and some black pantyhose, ideally with a floral design. She recommended getting multiple pairs in case of runs and requested a picture of him in his new cleaning outfit. The following evening, Harold sent the before and after photos of his bedroom, along with a picture of himself in the panties, bra, and pantyhose. Mistress Cat was thrilled with the results. She responded, complimenting his work and noting a small bulge in the front. She instructed him to buy a black girdle and send a picture of him wearing it. If there was a dress barn nearby, she wanted him to purchase at least 5 feminine dresses, as well as 3-inch heels to match the dresses. Additionally, she suggested buying at least 3 black slips to complete his lingerie collection. She emphasized that she wanted to see him smiling in all the photos. Once he sent her pictures of these new items, she would provide more tasks. Feeling somewhat embarrassed at Dress Barn, Harold was relieved when the clerk didn't comment as he checked out. He was fortunate to find the slips there as well. At a shoe store, he bought red, black, and white pumps with 3-inch heels. On his way home, he debated abandoning the plan but decided it was manageable since it was just at his home. His house was getting cleaner and looking nice. At home,
He took numerous photos in his new outfits, ensuring he was smiling in each one, and sent them to Mistress Cat. She promptly replied, instructing him to clean the kitchen the next night, including the floor on his hands and knees, and to send a photo of himself doing it while smiling. Harold wondered about the purpose of all the pictures but assumed they were just to verify his compliance. He didn't anticipate any further consequences. The next night, he cleaned the kitchen counters and floor. He set up his camera on a chair to capture a photo of himself cleaning the floor, then took an after photo of the kitchen and emailed both to Mistress Cat. She immediately responded, directing him to do the laundry and clean the remaining 2 bedrooms the next day. She wanted photos of him doing these chores. Harold replied that he had weekend plans and would complete the tasks Monday evening. Mistress Cat insisted he complete the chores the next day or she would be very displeased. Harold figured he could manage it after his golf game. He updated her, saying he would change his plans for the next day. Mistress Cat was satisfied, knowing she had him under control. The next morning, Harold played one of his best golf games. Afterward, he went home, changed, and started the laundry, taking a photo of himself loading the washer. He then cleaned the 2 spare bedrooms, taking before and after photos in each room. After completing his tasks, Harold sent all the photos to Mistress Cat, confirming he had followed her instructions. She replied, expressing satisfaction with his obedience. She instructed him to keep his outfit on for the rest of the day and to send her a picture of himself preparing dinner. Harold asked if he could remove the girdle, finding it quite uncomfortable. Mistress Cat insisted he keep it on, saying it was the only way he would get used to it. Reluctantly, he complied. That evening, Harold took a photo of himself cooking dinner, dressed in a pink lace-trimmed dress, while stirring a pan. Mistress Cat complimented his appearance in the dress and suggested he wear lipstick. She told him to purchase some and send her a picture within the next hour and a half, and to keep the dress on while doing so. Harold visited a nearby drugstore, concealing his face with a scarf to avoid recognition. Elena, however, spotted him and took a photo of him choosing lipstick, clearly capturing his face. Harold was relieved when the cashier didn't scrutinize him closely. Elena, amused by her newfound control, enjoyed the power she wielded and wondered how far she could push it. Harold returned home, applied the lipstick, and took a close-up photo to show Mistress Cat. He liked the way his lips felt with it on and sent her the image. Mistress Cat responded, praising his efforts and stating that he could wear whatever he wanted the next day. She requested a photo of him doing something he enjoys so she could better understand his preferences and address his needs. Happy with his accomplishments, Harold went to bed content. The week had been successful both at work and in maintaining his home. The next morning, he had a good breakfast and decided to swim in his pool. He took a picture of himself lounging by the pool in his swimsuit and sent it to Mistress Cat. She replied, noting that he looked relaxed but suggested he would look better in a women's one-piece swimsuit or bikini. She told him to think about it, enjoy his day, and expect more instructions that evening. Curious about what further tasks awaited him, Harold was surprised to receive an email instructing him to wear the panties, bra, pantyhose, girdle, and, if he didn't have a camisole, a slip to work the next day. He could wear his regular clothes over them if he wished. He responded, "I don't see why I should wear what you suggested to work. There's no real reason to wear those clothes." She replied promptly, "You need to get accustomed to wearing those outfits. The best way is to wear them throughout the day. If you prefer, I can instruct you to wear one of your dresses tomorrow. Is that what you want? I suggest you don't question my decisions." He agreed to follow her instructions. The next morning, he dressed as directed. He wore all the undergarments, and when he put on his tailored white shirt, it felt slightly tighter than usual but still comfortable. Pulling up his pants, he enjoyed the sensation of the nylon rubbing against his skin. At work, Elena greeted him as usual, not commenting on the outline of his underwear visible through his shirt. When he had her come in a few times to dictate letters, she didn't mention his altered gait, which he suspected was due to the tight girdle. He was relieved when the workday ended. He was never more eager to get home. The first thing he did was remove the girdle. After a light dinner, he checked his emails and found a message from Mistress Cat, asking, "How was your day? It wasn't too bad, was it? Did anyone mention your attire?" He replied, saying his day was manageable and that no one had commented on his clothing, though the girdle was extremely uncomfortable. Almost immediately, he received a response from her, "Wear the same outfit tomorrow. Also, take your secretary to lunch. It will be a good opportunity to get to know her better. Let me know if this poses a problem." He assured her it wouldn't be an issue, wondering about her interest in his secretary. He figured it was just a matter of women sticking together. The next morning, he dressed as instructed. Elena greeted him as usual, and he asked her to bring him a coffee, which she did. He then invited her to lunch at Hopkins Steakhouse, noting that they served an excellent business lunch. She accepted and asked what time they would leave. He suggested they go around 10 to 11, as the restaurant started serving at 11 and they would likely be among the first patrons. She returned to her desk, and he didn't see her until it was time for lunch. When they arrived at the restaurant, they were seated in a private corner booth. He noticed she was carrying a large bag. While Elena reviewed the menu, she handed him a loose-leaf binder and told him to look at it while she chose her meal. When he opened it, his eyes widened in shock as he saw the pictures he had sent Mistress Cat. He asked Elena what was going on. "Well, if you don't want everyone, including our customers, to see those pictures, you'd better follow my instructions. You can call me Mistress Cat if you like." When the waitress arrived, they placed their orders. Elena handed him the large bag and instructed him to change into the items inside. She warned him to carefully peel the backing off the chest forms and apply them correctly, as they wouldn't come off without pulling at his skin. She emphasized that he should hurry back before the food arrived. He took the bag to the men's room, relieved to find it empty. He entered the handicap stall and started unpacking the bag. To his surprise, there was a bright red dress inside. He placed the silicone forms into his bra cups after removing the backing. He then donned the red dress and discovered a long, honey blonde wig with lots of curls. It reached the middle of his back. He also put on the red heels he found in the bag. The only item left in the bag was a red purse, into which he placed his wallet before stowing his old clothes. Returning to the booth, he sat down just as the waitress brought their food. After she left, he asked Elena what was going on. "Well, when we get back, you'll announce that I'm the new president and chief operating officer, replacing you. You can say you're changing your lifestyle and need more time to focus on those changes. What if I refuse? What will you do then?" "I'll make sure every employee and client gets copies of all the pictures. Some might stay, but I expect you'll lose more than you keep. You can either do as I say or face the consequences of your decision." "I'm not backing down, I mean everything I say." He considered this for a moment and finally said, "All right, you win. I never thought anyone could be so manipulative to advance in their career. That's how business works. You need to be bold to get ahead. I'm prepared to take those bold steps. Just wait and see, I know I can improve this business. All you need to do is push the right buttons, like I'm doing to you right now." He ate his lunch without tasting it, feeling trapped and sick. He wished he could wake up and find it was all just a nightmare, but he knew better. Upon returning to the office, he made the announcement, and everyone saw him in the dress. Elena accepted their congratulations and declared that he would be her secretary to assist with the transition. She said she needed everyone's help and was sure he would need all the support he could get. She instructed them to call him Diana. He was shocked by the change in roles. Once everyone had left, Elena told him to stay behind. "Diana, now that you're my secretary, I expect you to dress the part. You can wear all your lovely dresses and look like a proper secretary. If you don't perform well, I'll demote you. Do you understand?" He acknowledged her directive, and she asked him to get her a cup of coffee. She preferred it black. After fetching the coffee, he sat at her old desk, unsure of what to do. Elena emerged with some files and instructed him to file them. He completed the task and saw it was time to go home. As he ate supper, he reflected on how he had been blackmailed into making Elena the head of the company. He took some solace in the fact that he still owned the business and wondered what would come next. After supper, he sat at his computer and was surprised to find a message from Mistress Cat. It read, "Tomorrow, wear the coral dress. I love dresses with lots of ruffles. Pair it with your white heels." He regretted sending those pictures but knew it was too late to change anything. He racked his brain for a way out of the situation but came up empty. The next day, Elena complimented him on how nice he looked in the dress, making him blush. She suggested he visit a beauty parlor for a lesson on applying eyeshadow and to get a facial. He declined, insisting it wasn't necessary. In the afternoon, Elena brought out 2 letters he had typed, marking 2 errors. She called Grace over and appointed her as the new secretary, instructing Grace to correct the mistakes and submit the letters promptly. "Deanna, you're now our file clerk. You'll be responsible for filing documents for the rest of the staff. I'll announce this shortly." He was stunned, having been demoted twice in 2 days. Feeling overwhelmed, he decided to confront Elena. "I refuse to be the file clerk. If this is all there is, I quit. You can send me the company's profit checks. If there are no profits, we'll need to discuss further changes. Are you serious about quitting? If so, we need to discuss a few things." "Yes, I'm serious. I've had enough. You can pretend to be president, but I expect to see some profit from this company. I've already secured 2 new clients and am confident about 3 more. We'll need to hire additional staff to manage the increased business." "How does that sound?" "That sounds promising, but I'm still quitting. Do you want this to remain a family business? You want a family member running it, don't you? It was a family business until you blackmailed me into naming you president. I don't see how it's still a family business." "It can be if we get married. Then a family member will still be running it." "Are you suggesting that we get married?" "Yes, exactly. We can get married, and you'll be the wife of the president of the company." He had never imagined he'd have the chance to marry someone as attractive as Elena. Though she was bold and demanding, he found her intriguing. Despite her tactics, he felt a connection with her and wondered if her boldness might complement his personality. Elena took some money from the petty cash, clearing it out, and took him to a discount jewelry store. She chose 2 matching engagement rings, handed one to him, and asked, "Deanna, will you marry me?" He slipped the ring onto his finger and accepted. She kissed him passionately and told him they would go wedding dress shopping the next day. Back at the office, she instructed him to make room for her belongings at his home. He returned home in shock over the day's events. That evening, Elena arrived with suitcases and boxes. She swiftly took charge, impressing him with her organizational skills. She moved her clothes into the bedroom and, as she unpacked, repacked some of his shirts and slacks. When he inquired about this, she explained that their dresses would fill the closet. He asked if she expected him to continue wearing dresses. "Of course. What else would the wife of the company president wear? I want to see you in beautiful dresses all the time." "I thought you were speaking figuratively. I assumed you meant you'd handle the house while I worked, just that kind of arrangement. It seems we need to have a serious conversation. I want to share more about myself so you can understand where I'm coming from." "Go ahead. I need you to know that I'm not happy about how you took over the presidency of my company." "All right, let me explain. My mother died during childbirth, so I never knew her. My father raised me alone, and we were distant from our extended family. In high school, I realized I was different from most girls. I had no interest in boys, though I was attracted to a few girls, who never knew. I'm a lesbian. I thought the only way I could marry was to find a she-male. That's where you came in. I noticed you were different, but it wasn't until I saw you in those pretty panties that I began to fantasize about you. When I saw you in a bra and stockings, I knew I was in love with you. Do you understand?" So you're saying you love me, but only if I wear dresses and women's clothes? Yes, but there's more. If we marry, our intimacy will be as two women. I want you to understand that while you can have fun with me from behind, I don't want penetration in the front. I need a she-male who will take care of me, and I don't like to cook or clean, so you'll need to handle that. I love you, but not as a man, only as a she-male. Can you accept that? If not, we need to call off the wedding. They sat in silence for over 5 minutes before he spoke up. I need to tell you something. In business, I can interact with anyone, male or female. But socially, I'm intimidated by women. I've never had a steady girlfriend or anything like that. I've only been on 2 real dates, both arranged by my mother before she passed away. My father died when I was 10, so he never had the chance to teach me about relationships with women. So, is the wedding still on? Can you accept me as I am or not? I think I can accept you as you are. I want you to know that I've also fantasized about you. I always knew you were different, but I didn't realize how different until now. I used to think you were bossy, but now I see that's just who you are. Your honesty makes me feel special. If you want me, I'm yours. She spent the night, and they fell asleep together after a long, tender kiss, feeling happier than ever. The next morning, he made breakfast for both of them. She was pleasantly surprised and enjoyed a delicious meal. She smiled at him frequently, and he basked in her happiness. After she left for work, he stayed at home. In the middle of the morning, she called to say she would pick him up in 10 minutes for a bridal appointment. She arrived and drove him to the bridal salon, where she spoke to the consultant for what felt like an eternity to him. The lady arrived to measure him, and he initially thought it was for a tuxedo for the wedding. She guided him into a large changing booth and soon returned with a wedding gown draped over her arm. Speaking in a matter-of-fact tone, she instructed him to remove his dress. Although he was nervous, he complied, and she helped him into the wedding gown, fastening the buttons at the back. The dress fit a bit snugly, but she assured him it was a perfect fit. She took his hand and led him out of the booth. When Elena saw him, she exclaimed, "You look absolutely enchanting. You resemble a display doll. I adore you, and this gown is perfect for our wedding." After leaving the bridal salon, he asked, "I thought I would be wearing a tux like most grooms. Why do I have to wear a gown?" "Because you're going to be my bride. I thought you understood that last night. I've arranged for a minister I know to marry us a week from this Saturday. I was thinking we could have it at your house by the pool, with just the girls from work. It'll be a private affair, and everyone who will be there has already seen you in a dress. I know you'll look stunning in that gown. Please say you're okay with this." "Well, if this is what you really want, I suppose it's all right. I hadn't considered all the details of what you told me last night. I know you have a lot to learn, and I'll do my best to answer your questions before you ask them. I'm so thrilled you're doing this for me. You make me the happiest person in the world." He felt oddly content about it. Though uncertain of what he was getting into, he hoped it would turn out well. When Elena dropped him off at home, her passionate kiss made him forget he was in a dress and about to marry her. Upon entering and seeing himself in the mirror, he noticed his lipstick was smudged. After touching it up, he caught a glimpse of the skirt swirling as he turned. He was fascinated and twirled a few more times, enjoying the way the skirt billowed. The sensation was oddly pleasant. He was relieved she wasn't insisting on the girdle anymore. In the late afternoon, he started preparing supper and grew anxious when she wasn't home at the expected time. Thankfully, the meal wasn't ready yet. As worry set in, she finally arrived with a big smile. He expressed his relief, and she mentioned a surprise she had for him. They sat down to eat, and she shared details about her day at work, which seemed to be going well. Though he had lingering doubts about her, he was hesitant to voice them. She discussed the wedding plans and expressed excitement about it. When she suggested renting an arch for the ceremony, he agreed it would be a nice touch. The idea of decorating the arch with flowers also appealed to him. As he did the dishes, he reflected on the changes in his life. He found wearing dresses wasn't so bad, despite their unconventional relationship. He decided to embrace it and try to enjoy the experience. As he thought about Elena, he realized he was falling more in love with her. He had never thought he needed a strong woman, but now he understood it was precisely what he needed. Smiling to himself, he concluded that things weren't so bad after all. He entered the living room and took a seat, contemplating discussing their relationship but hesitating to bring it up. She mentioned they were planning to hire 2 more people to handle the workload, and he agreed that it was a good idea. Then, unexpectedly, she said, "In that sleeveless dress, your underarm hair looks out of place. You should remove all your hair from the neck down. Let's take care of it now. Go get undressed and meet me in the bathroom so we can get started." In the bathroom, he stood still as the lotion she applied began to sting. She instructed him to step into the shower and rinse off the lotion. He was relieved to be under the shower and surprised by how much hair had been removed. Afterward, she rubbed a fragrant, flowery lotion on him, followed by a matching powder. The discomfort from the lotion was worth it, and he appreciated her care. She led him to the bedroom, handed him a bag, and asked him to put on its contents. Inside the bag, he first pulled out a pair of red panties adorned with black lace. He put them on, then retrieved a red nightgown with ruffles and black lace trim. He put that on as well, and finally, a red overgarment trimmed with black lace. The lightness and comfort of the garments amazed him. Once dressed, he embraced her and kissed her deeply, moved to tears by the gift. Having never received such a gift before, he was overwhelmed with gratitude and emotion. Later, as he lay in bed, he felt conflicted. While he didn't mind the situation, it seemed unconventional. He wondered how things would turn out. The next morning, while preparing breakfast, Elena walked in. He finally managed to thank her for the beautiful gift he was wearing, and she was delighted by his reaction. After she left for work, he kept the gown on as long as he could, wanting to find a way to show his appreciation. Eventually, he decided to present her with a gift. He dressed in his cranberry dress with scalloped lace trim and, during supper, gave her a nameplate reading Elena Watkins, President. He explained it was for her desk at work. She was thrilled, and he mentioned that he didn't know much about women's clothing sizes or he might have gotten her something to wear. She promised to write down their sizes for him. She was surprised by the nameplate, noting that after the wedding, her name would change. He replied, "You said I would be your wife, so I assumed I'd be taking your name. Was I mistaken?" "No, dear Diana," she said, "that's the perfect gift. I had considered it but didn't want to push. You've made me incredibly happy. I love you." He blushed as she then mentioned that she had arranged for caterers to serve a meal after the wedding and hinted at an amazing wedding cake that would leave him astonished. As the wedding approached faster than he expected, he prepared for the big day. On the morning of the wedding, he visited a beauty parlor for the first time. The beautician shaped his eyebrows into a thin, feminine arch and applied soft, pale makeup. She demonstrated how to use the various products, and when he looked in the mirror, he was pleased with his appearance. The beautician gifted him a pink case containing all the cosmetics used. He arrived home 45 minutes before the wedding was set to start. Grace offered to help him put on his gown, and he gratefully accepted. Once in the bedroom, she began assisting him. "You know, when you appointed Elena as head of the company, I thought it was a mistake. But she's proven to have excellent business acumen. She's streamlined the office operations and communicates her expectations clearly. If you need assistance, she ensures you get it. This wedding, however, is a complete surprise. I never anticipated it turning out this way," he responded. "But I'm pleased with how things have unfolded. I didn't realize how much I loved Elena until we started planning the wedding. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me. I'm happy for both of you. Your transformation has been surprising, but now that I see you, it's as if you've always been like this. I can hardly remember how you looked before. Are you genuinely happy about becoming Elena's wife?" "Yes, as unconventional as it might seem, I'm genuinely happy. In fact, I'm ecstatic. We've discussed our expectations for marriage, and I'm content with everything. Well, you're almost ready. I just need to pin on your headdress and veil. You make a stunning bride, you know that. Thank you. I'm feeling butterflies in my stomach right now. That's normal for all brides. You'll do just fine. There was a knock at the door, signaling that it was time to begin. With some hesitation, he took his first step. Seeing Elena in a black tuxedo, he thought she looked absolutely radiant. He joined her beneath the flower-adorned arch. As the minister spoke, he found it hard to focus until she announced, "Let me be the first to introduce Mr. and Mrs. Elena Watkins." The crowd applauded, and he kissed her deeply, feeling the warmth of the kiss down to his toes. Hand in hand, they walked together, ready to embrace whatever the future held for them.